Hey there, this is Dan, back with another Book of the Week review. This week we're reviewing the title, The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuck. This book has just been recently released, and it's a book all about the world of social media and how to use social media to build better relationships with your customers over the long term. Now, if you haven't heard of Gary before, he's the mastermind behind Wine Library TV, and he also runs a consulting company called Vayner which helps companies to improve their social media presence online and to improve customer relations. So it's a book that's well worth checking out, and I wanted to share a couple of the ideas from it today to get you started. This book starts off talking about the idea of how society and customer service has changed over the last sort of 50, 60 years. Now, if you were born a long time ago, pre-1930, you probably remember a much nicer time when customers were treated a lot better by companies. You probably lived in a small town or community where you knew all the vendors and the people who took care of you every day, so the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, they all knew what kind of products and services you liked. They knew you personally, they knew your family, and they knew how to take care of you. And the reason that they did this was because if they didn't, it was very easy for their customers to go out into the marketplace, which was the community, and spread the bad news, basically let people know that they weren't being taken care of by that particular business. Now, of course, as you know, as corporate America grew and companies became bigger and the large multinationals bought out the smaller businesses, that all changed, and you found in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s and the 90s that customer service kind of went out the window. And instead of having a person that we would talk to and deal with one-to-one, what we got was a phone line where we press 0 to talk to an operator, or we press 2 to talk to customer service. We got put on hold for an hour and a half, told that our call was very important, blah, 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 and we got very frustrated and hung up. And that's pretty common. If you were born within the last 30 years, you probably grew up with that kind of experience of customer service, which kind of sucks in a way that that's what we've grown up and we've got used to. Now, in the last couple of years, there's been a huge shift in the way customers can express themselves because of the birth of social media, things like Facebook and MySpace and different things like that. And now with sites like Yelp or Google Hotpot, customers actually have a way to give reviews of companies out there and the service that they're getting. Now, this is bringing us all the way back to the old school way where we used to be able to share our opinions and views about bad service or products with people in the community. Well, now we can do it on a worldwide scale, and we can do it in an instant by going online and posting a review. So this is really important. If you're in business for yourself and you have customers of any type, you have to suddenly be very conscious of what customers are saying about you online. Now, it's because of this reason that Gary really encourages us to adopt social media as a part of our business strategy. Because what he says is that basically we now live in a thank you economy where we have to be on top of our relationships with our customers, making sure to thank them, making sure to acknowledge them, listen to them, answer any questions or problems that they have as soon as we can by using the same forums that they do, which are Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, whatever they happen to be, to try and make sure that we're connecting with our customers one-to-one. In essence, what's happening is that we're going from push marketing, where advertisers used to push things onto us through large billboards or TV ads or radio or whatever it was, into pull marketing, where companies are having to pull consumers towards them and get them to attach themselves to their brand. Now, you see on Facebook and different forums like that, people are trying to promote their company and brand and get us to like them. Well, that's an example of pull marketing. We're starting to see where companies are trying to get us to become fans or to press the like button or whatever it is, so that we can attach ourselves to their company rather than them trying to push onto us. And this is really important to understand because this is a huge shift in the way we're starting to interact with our customers. And you have to be on top of this in your business if you're going to use the same type of tools to have customers pulled towards you. Now, conventional advertising has always been about exposure. How many people can we spread the word to as quick as we can? Whereas social media is about relationships and about how long can we connect ourselves to that person for. And that's the mindset that we've got to think of. How can we build a relationship with a customer one-to-one through social media forums, and how can we actually start to maintain that relationship over the long term? One of the most powerful ideas Gary talks about in the book is the power of good intentions. Now, if your intention with social media is just to build a massive fan base of followers, then you're probably not going to get very far. Sure, you might get some numbers if you tell people to click on something or like it and they can win a prize, but it's not the same as if someone comes to you, finds your product or service, and starts to actually connect to you because they feel like they have an affinity with you. They have some bond with you as a person. So that's what we're trying to aim for here. And the best way that I know to do this is to offer value to people and continue to offer value day after day so that they continue to stay in a relationship relationship with you. And the second half of this book focuses more on specific techniques that other companies have used to implement social media into their business and to try and stand ahead of the crowd. Now, Gary is a big fan of speed of implementation, being first to market. So obviously, if you're one of the first in your industry or your area to use social media, it does give you a distinct advantage over competitors. So he encourages getting involved as soon as you can, opening up a Twitter or a Facebook, and just getting online and starting to talk to your customers, answering questions, trying to serve them any way you can one-to-one, and trying to make that connection quickly. He also talks about some of the mistakes that some of the bigger companies have made. He uses some great examples. One that I really like in here is the example of Old Spice and how they burst onto the scene with this fantastic marketing campaign. If you haven't checked it out, I'll post a link down below and you can check it out. They had this great marketing campaign which got them huge followers and interest, but then they kind of dropped the ball and didn't do anything with it afterwards. And he talks about how that is a good example of people half using social media and not continuing the relationship long term. Some great learning there. Overall, this book is well worth reading. It's one of the first books I've read that really talks honestly about how the world is changing, how we're starting to go back to that old style of communication where we can communicate with people at a community level and we can give honest feedback about businesses, something we haven't been able to do for almost 50 years. We're suddenly able to do again as consumers. He also talks about the idea of not fearing bad publicity or bad reviews through social media, because if someone is writing about you, you can connect with that person and build the relationship back. And Gary is a master of doing that. If you check out some of his reviews on Amazon or different sites like that, you'll see where he connects one-to-one with reviewers, whether it's positive or negative, and he starts to try to build a relationship with them, which is pretty interesting. So that's a great idea in the book. There's a ton of other tips and techniques, but I really recommend checking out The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuck. It's out there now, and hopefully you get some value out of it. I certainly did. Speak to you again soon.